Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. This is HAXWARE Paragon, and this is a English original Manga Plus Creators series. And the series was actually brought to me by the writer themselves. They contacted me on Twitter and asked if I would check out their series, and I was like, sure, I'm always down to check out some new stuff. So here we go. In HAXWARE Paragon, two warriors from a desolate planet aim for galactic fame through a $1 million tournament for the underprivileged. Lacking funds for entry, they delve into crime and dodge both law enforcement and generational feuds. Their key to success lies in mastering HAXWARE, magical gems, as they fight to rise above their hardships in this gripping shonen saga. So before I get into the chapter, I just want to say that I am going to be showing some interior artwork, and because it's from manga creators and the Manga Plus websites, like you can't save pages by just like right-clicking save as. So I had to take screenshots for the images, and because of that, the quality itself isn't the greatest, but I just want to make sure that you realize that what you see here is not the actual quality of the manga itself. So I will leave a link in the description below where you can read it, and the manga on the actual link has really high quality artwork. It's just that when I screenshot it, it makes things a little bit more fuzzy or whatever. So the images you see here, this isn't the actual quality. I just want you to know that ahead of time. So don't judge the artwork's quality from this video. And so the very first chapter is pretty much two characters. It's these two characters that we see right here wearing the masks. I will say I kind of like that design. I don't know what it is. I'm always a fan of like the masks with the kind of like fur coming out on the sides. Like I've seen it before. What was it? Was it Princess Mononoke that had the mask with the fur designs? I've seen other stuff with it. I don't know. It's just something about that always kind of like I like it for some reason. It's like an aesthetic that pleases me. But these are our two characters, and this chapter is basically them sneaking into a facility, dodging guards and stuff, and then stealing this item before escaping. And a lot of it is told through just visuals. There's no dialogue. I don't want to say there's no dialogue, but there's no dialogue for a lot of it. And then when there is very minimalistic. So there's a lot of showing us and not telling us, which is pretty great because one thing that I always kind of hate is when we get series that just expo dump everything onto us, and it's just nothing but text and text and text and text and text. And I get it, you gotta have some text, right? But there are times where it feels more like I'm reading a novel rather than a comic book or a manga or something. And I always like when we get writers and artists who are able to tell us a story or just a sequence of events through showing us the actions in their panels and their artwork rather than just having to tell us everything. Because, we can kind of make some stuff up on our own. We don't need everything to be relayed to us. So we get a lot of that. My problem, though, is that we get too much of that. We get too much visual storytelling and not enough of just world building. And this chapter, it's the first chapter, it's 60 pages. But only about 30 pages is the actual chapter. And then the other half is basically like interviews, behind the scenes, making of stuff. And while I do enjoy that, I feel like that was maybe a bad idea for the first chapter. Or at least it was a bad idea to do too much of that. And the reason why I say that is because your first chapter should be introducing us to everything, or at least to the main key ingredients that we need. Introduce me to this world, introduce me to these characters, who they are, what's their names, what's their goals, what's their personality like, what abilities do they have, what are they striving for, dreams, that kind of things. What are the rules in this world? Stuff like that. We don't really get any of that. I get more information reading that logline that I read in the beginning than I do reading this entire chapter. And that's not great. So, yeah, like we have these two characters. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their names are. I don't know what this facility is, other than it's guarded by these robots. Other than that, I have no idea what the facility is. Is it a good facility? Is it a bad facility? Why are these people stealing this item? What's so important about this item? I'm guessing this item is a HAXWARE. I'm only kind of guessing that because I read the logline and not because the actual chapter told me or anything. In fact, the chapter doesn't really tell me what exactly they're stealing. I'm just guessing it's one of the HAXWAREs. We do get like a moment with guards at the end that kind of give us some information, but not all that much. They just say something like, the boss said to be on the lookout for increased activity due to that Galads guy's tournament announcement. So I guess because of the tournament announcement, they were expecting a bunch of people to come and steal stuff. Why would the tournament announcement force people to come and steal stuff? I don't know. I'm guessing it's because of the money, like whatever they steal, they can sell. But again, I'm getting that information by reading the logline and not by reading the actual chapter. So I would have liked if we had more of these two guards. We don't really get enough. We get 2 pages of them kind of talking a little bit and giving us a little bit of information. And then it completely cuts away. And it cuts at a weird time. So basically one of the guards is like, hey, why don't you radio the boss and tell him what went down. Tell him that, someone came and stole from us. And so one of the guards calls up the boss. It's like a holograph image, think Star Wars. But as soon as the image appears, the chapter ends. So it's like, oh, okay. It feels very much like anyone who's been reading like modern manga. There are some manga series out there where they would take like chapter, say 19. They'll take chapter 19 and they'll break it down into like 5 parts. So you'll have like chapter 19.1, chapter 19.2. And what it is basically the entire chapter, but they just break it up into parts so that they can release it. I don't know why they decided to do this, like why manga companies decided that this was a good idea. It's very, very annoying. But the reason why I bring this up is because they do that, sometimes you'll have just a manga chapter just end. And it's just like, that's it. Like it'll be like chapter 19.1 and then chapter 19.1 ends like in the middle of a conversation. And that's because it's supposed to be part of a longer chapter, but chapter 19.2 will continue that conversation. It's just that chapter part has been broken out into its own thing. And that's kind of what this feels like. It's like these guards are talking. We get a little bit of information, not as much as I would have liked. And I thought, okay, they're going to call their boss and then we're going to get more information. But as soon as their boss's image pops up, the chapter ends. And it's just like, really? That's how you ended it? Okay. Like, I feel like we just ended it in the middle of the scene. Like, we could have kept going. And I would have liked if they kept going. Keep with these guards. Maybe they explain to their boss what happened. And then we can cut to their boss. And then, like, the boss ends the call. And then he turns and he's talking to other people that are in the room with him. And then we get more information on the world and stuff like that. Like, that would have been cool. Because, yeah, I want to know more about this world. Are we on Earth? Are we on another planet? I'm guessing we're on a desolate planet. Because that's what the logline says. But is it a desolate Earth? Is it another desolate planet in a galaxy far, far away? I have no idea. What's the year? Are we in a year with a lot of high-tech, futuristic gadgets? Are we in the present day? Are we in the near future? Like more of like a cyberpunkish kind of world? I don't know. Who are these two characters? I don't know. Why are they breaking into this place? I don't know. What are they stealing? I don't know. Why are they stealing it? I don't know. What is this facility? I don't know. Is this facility good? Is it bad? What do they make? I don't know. So there's a lot of I don't knows. And it would have been nice if they told us some of this stuff. Recently, I've been reviewing One Piece, the Netflix adaptation. And the first episode does an amazing job of explaining what I'm trying to get at here. Especially even the first 10 minutes. We get introduced to the world. We know that this isn't Earth, but it's like this own world with its own rules. We get introduced to the goal. Like we know, okay, Gold Roger, he's like the king of pirates. He's collected a ton of gold and treasures, and he's hidden it somewhere on the Grand Line. And now all these people want to go after it. And so a new age of pirates has been created, trying to gather this One Piece. We're introduced to Luffy, and we're introduced to his goals, his personality, his dream, what he hopes to achieve. And not even long after being introduced to him, we're introduced to his powers and his abilities. So we're introduced to all that very quickly. And I wish that this issue had done that. I wish it had shown more of that. Like, show me this world that we're in. What exactly is it? Where are we? What's the name of the place? What's the technology like? Who are these two characters? What are they hoping to achieve? Other than breaking into this place to steal this item. What exactly is it that they want? What's this facility? Just things like that. Basic general questions. You don't have to, explain everything to me, because obviously you want to leave stuff as mysteries to be figured out later on. But you gotta at least give me like the basic gist of what's happening here. And I don't have that. Now the thing is that some of the like behind the scenes stuff and some of the post chapter pages, they explain some of this stuff. So like we get pages of like, here's the characters, here's their name, their ages, when they were born, what they are. And then we get like, here's what a HAXWARE is. I appreciate that, but I would have liked to see that in the actual chapter itself. Like, I was never really a fan of when series will do stuff like this, where they're like, here's all the information on what all this stuff is, but you only realize what it is after you've already finished the story for that chapter. So, like, you could have found, rather than just straight up telling us, here's what HAXWARE is, by reading the post-chapter information, I would have liked if you had weaved it in through, like, dialogue and stuff like that. Instead of just saying, here's what the characters are, here's their names and stuff. I would have liked it better if, they called them each other by their names. So basically, rather than just telling us all this information after the chapter is done, you show us all this information within the chapter itself. And you weave it in through dialogue and visual storytelling and stuff like that. Like, I don't mind when you're giving the audience information, but I prefer more when you do that in the very beginning of a chapter and you're doing it to kind of like recap the audience on here's what you missed or here's what's going on in the story so far. But I don't really care when you like, here's all the information on the story's, lore and things like that, but you're not getting it from the actual chapter itself. You're getting it in the post-chapter stuff. What I would have enjoyed was you can keep this first chapter the way it is, in the sense that keep the first 30 pages, and then rather than the next 30 pages being behind the scenes stuff, keep the chapter going instead. So the first half, you can do what you did here, where you have the two guys breaking into the facility, and most of your storytelling is through visuals and stuff like that. And then once the guards show up, we can switch to more of like the exposition, where we have the guards talking to their boss, and they explain some things. And during the conversation, we get a little bit more of like the world, the technology, what these people just stole, why they're stealing it. And then maybe we cut to the boss, like I said earlier, and the boss is talking to people around him, and maybe he's like pissed off that this dude created this tournament because now it's messing with, all the facilities that he has to monitor. And now a bunch of people are like stealing stuff for money. He can maybe give like a line like, why the hell does anyone even want to enter this tournament in the first place? And then we can cut to the main characters, and they're back at their home or whatever, and they're all excited that they just stole this item. And then now they're talking about how they're going to sell it so that they can have money to enter this tournament and why they're entering the tournament. We just start getting more information, and like one scene leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, and each scene is giving us a little piece of information about the world, the characters, the goals, the motivations, and all that stuff. That I would have liked. I think that would have been a lot better, because your first chapter, you want your first chapter to basically get the readers like hooked right in and explain, here's what our story is, here's what it's about, here's the major players of our story, and here's what their goals are. That's usually what the first chapter is like introducing all this stuff. And then the rest of the chapters is how all that plays out. We don't really get much of that here, though. Yeah, we got introduced to the two characters, but we don't even know their name. We don't know their goal other than stealing this item for reasons we don't know. I'm assuming it's to sell the item for money for the tournament, because, again, I read the log line. But all this stuff should have been in the chapter itself. So, yeah, I guess my biggest complaint with this chapter, like I said, is just that it's very bare bones when it comes to the information. I wish there was a lot more. With that said, though, there is stuff that I really did enjoy this chapter did. One, like I mentioned earlier, I love the visual storytelling. I love that we're able to tell a story. And I did mention we don't really know the two main characters, but we get a little bit of what their personality is like. Like one of them appears to kind of be a little bit of a showboat, like he likes to show off and stuff like that. And I guess he's supposed to be like a little bit of a kind of hothead. And the other character seems to be a little bit more aloof. Like I like his introduction where he just pops out of a trash can, like a dumpster, and he has like, you know, a raw banana on his head, and he just kind of tosses it out. And he's like the guy who's like trying to take this mission a little bit more seriously. Like he's trying to be a little bit more stealthy. Whereas the other dude's just like, yeah, we can, you know, rob from this place, but also have fun in the process as we do it. And another thing that I like are the guards that we have here. So rather than like human guards, we have these little robot drones. And I'm going to probably lose my man card for saying this, but these little dudes are freaking adorable. They remind me very much of the Komisas from Psycho Pass. They don't look like the Komisas, but I say they remind me of the Komisas because of the fact that, you know, they're these like little robot drones with the smiley faces on them. And I like how the ones outside have like these little ties, or at least there's like this design on its chest that kind of looks like a tie. And so we just have like this guard with a smiley face walking around patrolling. And then when it gets hit by a rock, it has like the little question marks appear, kind of like Metal Gear Solid. And I like just kind of that. And then when it gets destroyed and one of its buddies shows up and sees its destruction, the buddy, like his face turns black and he gets a little frowny face. And I'm like, all right, like we're showing a lot of personality for robots that I'm assuming are not sentient. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I really like that. And then I like how the guards that are like on the lower floor, when they get alerted and all of them starts, you know, going up to go see what all the commotion is about. Like these guards, rather than being mostly white with a little bit of black, these guards are all black with a little bit of white, and then they all have like angry faces. And rather than having ties, they have like little bow ties on their chests. And I was like, all right, so that's how we like distinguish the rankings. Is if you have a tie, then you're probably like a lower ranked guard, and if you have a bow tie, then you're a higher ranked guard. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I really like that. Also, like a little bit of, like I said, there's like we get a little glimpse of the world through the visual storytelling. I did complain that we don't get enough, but we get just a little tiny bit here and there. Like obviously we have these floating guards, so we're like, okay, so the technology is a little bit probably better than what we have here on our real world present day. As the guards walking, we see like what looks like it could be like a planet or like a black moon or something. So there's another little like visual cue. I do like how when one of the main characters, he like uses a sword to stab one of the guards, and then when he puts his sword away, rather than sheathing it into a sheath, he just kind of puts it on his back, and a sheath materializes from the handguard of the sword itself. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like I like little touches like that where, I mean, it's just such a small thing, but I've always just really enjoyed it when media kind of comes up with its own little technology. Like one thing that stood out in my mind is Escape from New York. John Carpenter was not able to incorporate this because they didn't have the technology at the time, but he really wanted to, where he would have characters smoking cigarettes, but there's no need for lighters because the cigarettes will start itself as soon as you take a drag. So you just put a cigarette to your mouth, take a drag, and it already lights up on its own. I was like, that's just kind of cool. Like he wasn't able to incorporate that, but just the fact that he came up with that idea, like I like when we just kind of come up with stuff that's just a little bit unique. So I love the whole like, here's a sword where you don't need to carry a sheath because it materializes a sheath on its own. And like I mentioned before, I like the way that we're introduced to these two characters in different ways. Like one of them comes across serious, like he's hiding in the bushes, he's destroying robots, and the other one just appears out of a dumpster. Yeah, we get like a little bit of their ability. I'm guessing like we see one where he comes across a door that's locked, and he kind of puts his hand on it, and then it creates some kind of like vibration, and all of a sudden the door kind of bends open, and he's able to slip in. So we get little hints about what they're able to do. I just kind of wish we got to see a little bit more. So that's my biggest issue with this series, or I should say with this chapter, because it's only chapter 1. I like it, so don't take this as me like trying to crap on it or anything like that. I like it. The fact is, I like it, and I'm disappointed that I didn't get more. So my big complaints isn't like terrible characters, terrible artwork, or anything like that. It's just that it's bare bones. Like I wish there was more. Like this feels less like chapter 1 and more like chapter 0. So like on Free Comic Book Day when they give you a comic and it's like chapter 0 and it's more of like a preview or a teaser to what the full issue is going to be when it gets released. That's kind of what this feels like. This feels less like it's chapter 1 and more like it's a teaser or a preview of what chapter 1 is going to be. So I think that's a good complaint for someone to have in regards to your series, is that they're not like bashing on the story or the characters or anything, but their complaint is that they wish you had given them more. So yeah, I want to see more. I want to see more of the world building, the lore, the characters, and all that stuff. Because what little I've seen was very, very interesting and has me intrigued. And that's just the problem, is that it's very, very little that I've seen. Especially for a first chapter, I think it could have gone better if you'd given us just a bit more. But I am going to be following this, and I am going to be checking out future chapters because, yeah, you got me intrigued. I'm interested to see this world that's been created. I'm interested to see where this goes. So there you go. So if there's anyone else out there that has created something, be it a comic or a manga, I'm always down to check out some new stuff. Just let me know where I can find it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what did you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.